Chapter 13. Establishing Estolia. The great bounty of deity in the earliest years has never been adequately recorded by the men who make the safety and future of Estolia their primary concern. We could never have survived without the small and seemingly insignificant blessings that spiced our lives and enhanced our comforts. As a mother cares for all aspects of her child's needs at a young age, and smiles upon the independence that comes with maturity, so too did deity see to our needs with abundance in the infancy of our nation. Ensayo of Estoliana. By the end of their 6th day on the island, Zacharias felt as close to Estoliana as his parents always seemed to be. He was certain that he could read what was in her heart and mind when they were in contact with one another. They spent their time working together to make a more permanent shelter and increase their comfort. They also made multiple trips each day to bring back as much of the cargo from the Ankamoon as possible. In addition to those practical pursuits, they took frequent breaks to spend time getting to know one another intimately. On their 3rd morning, they woke to find half a dozen mares watering at the spring. Estoliana approached the mare nearest her, catching hold of her halter. Zacharias did the same with another mare. These were the horses from the Ankamoon that he last saw in the water near Estoliana. The bulge of their midsections reminded him that they were all expected to foal in the spring, a clever method of shipping 6 animals, but expecting 12. "I forgot about the horses on the Ankamoon," Zacharias said. "I spent time caring for them." He enjoyed working with them, as it reminded him of his final days in Anoxes and the horses his father delighted in breeding. "I watched you," she admitted. "I was hidden among the livestock on the Ankamoon. They are beautiful. Do you think we could use one of the chariots we discovered to bring the largest crates here?" The day before, they found several chariots, half assembled, laced together, and resting among the seagrasses. Zacharias had pounced on the several packages of bound sticks they also found. He explained that the sticks were fruit tree starters, and if they could get them planted, they would improve the variety in their diet. He set aside the precious bundles, submerging their roots in a small stream making its way to the ocean, then helped Estoliana pull the chariots well above the high tide mark. They left them, since they were irrelevant without horses to put between the traces. He fondled the ears of the mare nearest him and answered, "Yes, I think we could bring the rest of Pharaoh's crates here to the clearing, if we used the power of these animals." Over several days they retrieved the remainder of the cargo from the Ankamoon. They opened each crate they brought to their settlement, investigating the contents, hoping to find items that would be useful to them. A few contained delicacies capable of withstanding a long journey. Their diet was a peculiar mixture of the humble foods gathered by the couple and the delicacies only the pharaoh could afford to eat. Most of the crates did not contain food, and Zacharias carefully resealed the ones that held only jewels and precious metals unnecessary to their survival. On the 7th day, they watched the sun rise from their comfortable bed. Once the last glimmers of dawn had faded into daylight, they dressed. "Tomorrow," Zacharias began, but he was interrupted by a voice calling out to them. They both turned to see who was hailing them. Estoliana moved close to Zacharias, whose hand was on the fine sword they had discovered among the crates. A mounted man was astride a magnificent pure black stallion. Noblemen and marauders alike preferred the medium-boned animals that were smaller than the large workhorses farmers use for plows and raw power. This animal had power and stamina, an ideal mount for many purposes. The 6 mares they had in their herd were a cross between this type of animal and the fine-boned, speed-focused breeds of Araby. Once the stranger dismounted, the robe he wore reached his ankles. It was a thick weave of dark brown, resembling the bark of the needle-leaf trees prevalent inland. It reminded him of the robe worn by deity. It was unpretentious with 2 exceptions. The first was the sleeves. Each had a teardrop-shaped opening that fell almost to the hem of the robe. When the man clasped his hands together, the sleeves created a chevron pattern that pointed to the ground. The only other extravagance was a braided rope around the man's waist, fastening the robe closed. Each end of the rope had an end cap of metal worked to a fine point. He looked like he was a man who communed with deity. The man walked towards them with a sure and confident step. He led the stallion casually, as if the two were close friends. When he reached them, he bowed low. "Greetings," he said. "I am Sebastian." He used a dialect they could both understand. "I am Zacharias, and this is Estoliana. Welcome to Estolia." He hugged Estoliana to his side. "This is our land." "I'm blessed to have discovered your unique island. I am a humble man with a sensitivity to deity, and felt my skills were needed here." This was how deity was providing him the chance to marry the woman who had taken hold of his soul. "We do require the services of a servant of deity. Estoliana and I have been waiting for the opportunity to wed. Will you do that service for us?" "I would be honored to formalize your union," Sebastian said. Estoliana excused herself. When she returned, she was wearing the jeweled dress she discovered in the crates on that first day, and holding the fancy embroidered tunic out to Zacharias. When he took it from her, he was reminded that they were only together 7 days. It seemed remarkable that he could be so close to a woman who was unknown to him 8 days ago. Now, he truly could not survive without her. Throughout the ceremony, Zacharias felt as if deity herself was present, sealing their union with her holy approval. Once Sebastian was done with the service, Estoliana invited him to join them for some of the last of the delicacies from the Ankamoon. During their meal, Sebastian learned their story and briefly shared his own. Zacharias felt compelled to share his vision and discussion with deity. Estoliana had heard the entire story on their second day on the island. This was a test for Sebastian. Would he accept what he was told? Sebastian's expression was not easy to interpret once Zacharias finished speaking. Finally, when he spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "Few men are as blessed as I am, Zacharias, to be directed by deity to find acceptance and purpose. I hope you will accept me as a citizen of your nation and allow me to serve you and call this nation my own." Zacharias felt peace sweep through him. He heard a whisper of a feminine voice telling him, "This feeling, Zacharias, is the way I will confirm your choices are right." The whisper was still echoing round and round in his mind when he stepped towards Sebastian and embraced him. "I have need of permanent guidance. You are welcome to stay here, forever."